Original Dragon Ball is home to some of the best fights in the entire franchise, yet so many of them don't get any recognition they deserve. Today, we're putting the spotlight on the best and worst fights for each character. Now, what makes a fight truly great? For me, it's all about the emotional stakes. The kind of fight that pushes a character to their limits and forces them to grow. Add in some top-tier choreography and a meaningful connection to the bigger story, and you've got a recipe for a classic. But when a fight misses the mark, that's when things start to fall apart. Maybe the stakes feel non-existent, the pacing drags, or the fight just doesn't give the character the spotlight they deserve. Whatever the case, those moments stick out for all the wrong reasons. So, let's get started. First up, Goku. In Dragon Ball, he's always been this lovable fish-out-of-water character. Naive, curious, and constantly chasing after the next challenge. He's the kind of guy who can turn even the smallest moment into an adventure, and honestly, that's what makes him so iconic. But all those traits, the innocence, the drive, the heart, build up to what I think is his best fight, his showdown with Piccolo Jr. By this point, Goku isn't just some scrappy kid anymore. He's grown into a young adult, and you can feel how much he's evolved. Sure, he's still got that wide-eyed, pure-hearted energy we love, but now there's a maturity and focus that shows how far he's come. And this fight, it's the ultimate payoff. Think about it. Goku finally wins the World Martial Arts Tournament. He defeats the son of King Piccolo, saves the world, and protects Kami and his friends in the process. This isn't just a fight, it's the culmination of everything Goku's been working toward since the start of the series. But even if you strip away all the emotional weight and story significance, this fight is just so good. The choreography is insane, fast, brutal, and full of creativity. The stakes are sky high, and every punch, kick, and beam attack feel like it matters. And there's a lot of standout moments in this fight. The meteor combo is legendary, one of those scenes that's burned into my brain forever. And when Goku flies back into the ring after everyone thinks he's done for, shouting, "I told you I'll win," come on, how can you not get chills? This fight isn't just a highlight of Dragon Ball, it's a perfect example of what the series does best. It's intense, emotional, and endlessly entertaining. For me, this has to be Goku's best fight in the series. Now, when it comes to Goku's worst fight, it's honestly tough to pick one. He doesn't really have many bad battles in the original series. That said, there's one fight that I truly did not enjoy. Goku versus this random octopus in the Red Ribbon Army saga. But let's be real, that fight isn't even notable enough to count as his worst. It's more of a weird filler battle. After giving it some thought, I've settled on what I think is the real answer: Goku's first fight against Tambourine. Let me paint you a picture. Krillin is dead and Goku is consumed by grief and rage. Ignoring Master Roshi's advice to rest and recover, Goku rushes off to confront Tambourine. Now, I get it, Goku's emotions are running high, and anyone would want revenge in that moment. But charging into a fight just hours after another intense battle? Not exactly the smartest move. When Goku finally catches up to Tambourine, the result is rough. He's still injured and exhausted, and Tambourine absolutely wipes the floor with him. Goku gets beaten badly and barely escapes with his life. It's a fight that feels more like a moment of desperation than a true showdown. Next up is Krillin, whose journey in Dragon Ball is one of constant growth, resilience, and heart. What makes Krillin such a compelling character is that he's always underestimated by his enemies, by his peers, and sometimes even by himself. But time and time again, he shatters those expectations, and his best fights are a testament to that growth. When it comes to standout battles, two instantly come to mind. First, his fight against Piccolo Jr. This one's a gem because it shows just how far Krillin has come since his days as a scrappy monk at Master Roshi's island. Facing off against one of the most dangerous foes in the series, Krillin doesn't just hold his own. He earns Piccolo's respect by the end. The second fight worth mentioning is his match against Goku in the 22nd World Martial Arts Tournament. This battle is pure fun and showcases the camaraderie and rivalry between these two lifelong friends. Krillin knows Goku better than almost anyone, and it shows in the way he fights, strategically, creatively, and with everything he's got. After some thought, I've got to give the edge to his fight against Goku as his best. There's just something about this match that keeps me coming back to it. The choreography is fantastic. The battle tactics are clever and the pacing is perfect. Now, let's talk about Krillin's worst fight. His battle against Dracula Man during Baba's tournament. Where do we even start? The stakes are low, but it is kinda funny. However, Krillin spends most of the fight getting his head bitten. Yes, bitten. Dracula Man literally sinks his fangs into Krillin's shiny dome, leaving puncture marks as proof. Sure, Dragon Ball has always leaned into humor, especially in its early arcs. But this fight, it leans a little too hard. Instead of showing off Krillin's cleverness or skill, the qualities that make him such an underdog to root for, it reduces him to pure comic relief. And the resolution? Having Upa and Puar swoop in with garlic to save the day? Let's just say it's not exactly a shining moment in Krillin's resume. Next is Tien, and when it comes to his best fight, there's no question. It's his final match against Goku in the 22nd World Martial Arts Tournament. This battle is nothing short of a masterpiece. It's a true clash of equals, with both fighters pushing each other to the absolute limit. The choreography is top tier, and the back and forth between Tien and Goku has you on the edge of your seat from start to finish. But what really makes this fight stand out is the emotional depth behind it. Tien begins the tournament as a cold, ruthless warrior, but by the time this fight wraps up, he's questioning his entire path. The stakes aren't just about winning. This is a turning point for Tien's character, where he starts to find redemption in the heat of battle. This fight acts as a personal journey for his character, and let's not forget, Tien actually beats Goku in this match. How many people can say that? Now, as for Tien's worst fight, it has to be his battle against Drum. He gets absolutely demolished in this fight, and it's not even close. It's like when you unlock the bad guy in a game as a playable character, only to realize they're just not as good as you hoped. Jokes aside, this fight really stands out as Tien's only major letdown in Dragon Ball. Outside of this, Tien doesn't really have any bad showings. He's usually a powerhouse, but this fight against Drum, it's just a rough one. Also, if you're enjoying the video so far, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. We're aiming for 10K, and every bit of support really helps out. Next up is Master Roshi, or should I say, Jackie Chun. When it comes to his best fight, it's tough to choose between his battles with Goku in the 21st tournament and Tien in the 22nd. But for me, his fight against Goku takes the top spot. Here's why. Roshi is one of the few characters who can proudly say he's beaten Goku. And this fight is just so much fun to watch. What makes this fight stand out is the purpose behind it. Roshi's main goal was to make sure Goku didn't win. He needed to prevent Goku from becoming overconfident. Watching Roshi endure all the challenges of going up against a young prodigy who wouldn't back down, not to mention Goku's surprise transformation mid-battle, was incredibly entertaining. And in the end, Roshi accomplishes what he set out to do in a truly memorable and satisfying finish. It's a great mix of strategy, humor, and character development, and that's why it stands out as his best. As for Master Roshi's worst fight, despite how emotional it was for me the first time I watched it, I have to go with his fight, if you can even call it that, against King Piccolo. In this moment, Roshi knows there's only one thing he can do to defeat Piccolo: use the containment wave. He attempts it, but he misses. What makes this scene so tough is that Roshi, in his final moments, calls himself stupid and an amateur before he dies. This moment, while emotionally charged, really highlights Roshi's limitations in that battle, and it's a low point for him as a fighter. Next up is Piccolo, and this time he's still a villain. Now, I think Piccolo's best performance has to be his fight against Goku. Honestly, this is the moment where he really shines. He's just as entertaining as Goku in this fight, and what makes it stand out is that Piccolo actually had real chances to win. He's not just some mindless villain. He's calculated, ruthless, and strong. It's a great showcase of his abilities. As for his worst fight, well, Piccolo doesn't have a ton of battles to choose from. He only has 3 major fights: his battle against Goku, Kami, and Krillin. Of the 3, I'd have to go with his fight against Kami. Sure, he wins, but it just doesn't hit the same as the others. It's not a terrible fight by any means, but compared to his other showings, it feels like a letdown. Yamcha's often seen as the comic relief in Dragon Ball. You know, the guy who loses to highlight just how strong the enemy is. But there's one fight where the show takes him way more seriously, and that's his battle with Tien in the 22nd World Martial Arts Tournament. Honestly, this fight doesn't get nearly enough love, and it's one of the most underrated moments in the series. The tension between Yamcha and Tien before the match is so thick, you could cut it with a knife. The trash talk they exchange, it just adds fuel to the fire, making everything feel that much more intense. What's so great about this fight is that Yamcha really steps up. He delivers one of his best performances ever, going toe-to-toe with Tien and holding his own for a surprising amount of time. Even though he eventually falls short, this is one of those moments where you can really see Yamcha's growth as a fighter. He's not just there to lose, he's there to show he's got heart, determination, and real skill. And even though he doesn't win, this fight gives his character so much more depth than we usually see. And even though it doesn't exactly happen in this fight, it's still worth mentioning that by the end of the tournament, Yamcha and Tien reconcile. They put their differences aside, and that's a huge moment for Yamcha. It shows there's more to him than just being the guy who gets knocked out. This fight is a rare chance to see Yamcha shine, and honestly, it deserves way more recognition for how it highlights his character. As for his worst fight, there's definitely several contenders. However, I'm going to go with his match against Jackie Chun in the 21st tournament as his worst. Here, Yamcha steps into the ring full of confidence, eager to prove himself against one of the tournament's top competitors. He even starts strong, showing off some impressive moves and agility, but Jackie Chun quickly turns the tide, outclassing Yamcha at every turn. The fight ends not with a spectacular clash, but with Yamcha getting knocked out through a wind attack from Roshi. To add insult to injury, this fight is also where Yamcha's role as a comedic foil starts to take shape. The series uses him as a benchmark to show just how far Goku and the others have come, which unfortunately becomes a recurring theme in his character arc. So for me, this is his worst performance. Now, last but definitely not least, we have Chiaotzu. Honestly, this is the first time I've really mentioned him in one of these videos, and not because I don't like the guy, but because, well, he just doesn't really get much to work with. Even in Dragon Ball, Chiaotzu's role is pretty limited, but if I had to pick his best fight, it's gotta be his battle against Krillin. Chiaotzu actually gives Krillin a pretty tough time, and considering Krillin's a solid fighter, that's pretty impressive. As for his worst fight, well, that's an easy one. It's his battle against Mercenary Tao in the preliminaries of the 22nd World Martial Arts Tournament. And you know what? We don't even get to see it. We just cut to Chiaotzu lying unconscious on the floor. Talk about a letdown. For a character who doesn't get many chances to shine, this was a real missed opportunity to give him some much-needed spotlight. So, if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like and subscribe. And while you're at it, check out some of my other Dragon Ball videos. See you there.